I don't know if some of y'all realize this, but benching Jalen Hurts would set this franchise back multiple years. Multiple years. And some of y'all are so ungrateful. It's insane. This got me thinking to when Allen Iverson said to Stephen A. Smith many years ago, they're waiting, man. They're waiting, man. They're waiting, they're waiting, they're waiting.
Dog, they love you right now. They love you right now. But please believe me, the first incident, the first time something happened, they are waiting, man. They're waiting, man. They're waiting. They're waiting, man.
What was AI saying? He was saying they love you now. They love you now. When you got the scoring titles and bringing a team to the finals, and with Hurts, it's your Super Bowl MVP. You got the City of Championship, multiple Super Bowl appearances. But they're waiting. They're waiting for you to have a bad stretch. They're waiting for you to have a bad month, just so they can go back on their keyboards and on their phone and say, this is the guy that got benched for Tua Tagovailoa in a national championship game. No. You see, when you got to go back to college to try to prove your point, you already lost that jump. But let's keep this straight right here. Benching Jalen Hurts for Tanner McKee would be idiotic, and it would set this franchise back. And let's not act like Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback to have a bad game. He actually has less interceptions than Dak Prescott. He has less interceptions than Patrick Mahomes. He has less interceptions than Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen. Y'all love these guys, right? The Daks, the Mahomes, Allen, Herbert. I don't know about y'all, but I would rather have my quarterback throw 4 picks in the regular season and not when the game's on the line in the playoffs like Justin Herbert did. You know, I would prefer that Hurts plays at his apex in the playoffs rather than be like Dak Prescott and not make an NFC championship game. I'm on one today because y'all have pissed me off talking about my guy. And we really see who are the true fans and who are the true believers through who sticks with him during this time. Come on. I'm not here for a season. What they say, I'm here for a reason. I believe in this team. I believe in this quarterback. I believe in the main goal. I believe in it. I want you to think about this. There is a quarterback on the Eagles that is the only quarterback this season to have a perfect passer rating. We got guys like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, who they say is having an all-time year, an amazing year. None of those guys had a perfect passer rating. Who did? Not Sam Howell. Not Tanner McKee. It's Jalen Alexander Hurts. So I will always take the highs from Jalen Hurts over the lows because I know Jalen Hurts at his apex is the best quarterback in the league. And you act like this is a crazy take, but I saw this man outplay the quarterback that many have said is the best quarterback of this generation, outplayed him twice in the Super Bowl. You know, when you do something one time, it's lucky. When you do it twice, it's skill. That's a fact. So Hurts has had a bad 5-game stretch. Outside of that Cowboys first half, he has not been good. He's been pedestrian. We all know that. And he deserves to get criticized on playing better. But like AI said, some of y'all are waiting, man. Y'all are waiting. Waiting for a bad moment to pile on him, say that he's not that guy. He's carried. He's like Justin Fields with great talent around him. All right, cool. And especially if you're an Eagles fan, stay on that side. Stay on that side. Now, I do want to talk about ways that this offensive coaching staff can make this offense better. And yes, Jalen Hurts played bad, but let's not act like the offensive coaching still isn't putrid. We're looking at this, and they're trying to use this offense like the Bengals offense. How come Sirianni and Patullo ran 51 plays in shotgun and they averaged 4.2 yards per play with 4 interceptions? And when they went under center, they averaged 10.2 yards per play, 0 interceptions. It is coaching malpractice that you see something work and you don't go back to it. That's why I crashed out when I heard that Nick Sirianni is involved in the Eagles' offensive game plan, and then you go out here and Hurts has his worst game of the year. You go out here and the Eagles offense is still force-feeding A.J. Brown. You go out here and this Eagles offense is still putrid. It's so insane that after the bye week, this Eagles offense is averaging less than 17 points per game. Less than 17 points per game with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. It's insane. And we're going to talk about later on in this episode about how, let me just sit up real quick. We're going to talk about later on in this episode about how there is not real correlation between this team in 2023 as of yet. And I'll get in that a little bit later to talk about the defense and the fact that on offense, they got the players. But I want to talk about A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown holds some fault in what this offense looks like, because when you chirp on social media and now you put more of the spotlight on who? Your quarterback. More of the spotlight on who? Your first-time OC. You don't want any more distractions for a first-time OC that we all know don't know what the hell he's doing. It's not a coincidence that when the Eagles lost this season, they've gone away from the run game. They went towards passing the ball hella and forcing A.J. Brown the ball. Newsflash, A.J. Brown having a great game doesn't correlate to wins. It's not guaranteed if A.J. Brown has 100 yards, the Eagles win. But what is guaranteed? When you force feed A.J. Brown, more times than not, you're going to have a pick. In the last 2 games, Jalen Hurts has 5 interceptions. 3 of those interceptions came from force feeding A.J. Brown the ball. In the Bears game, scramble drill, Hurts is force-feeding A.J. Brown the ball on the Eagle side of the field. And then here comes Kevin Byard flying through. He reads Jalen's eyes, picks it off. Jalen earlier this season is not making that throw. But when you make it a big deal about your targets, about your stats, about the individual over the team, this is what happens. What happens against the Chargers? 2 of Hurts' 4 picks were A.J. Brown getting targeted. The one, Jahan Dotson is wide open. And you're forcing the ball into triple coverage, right? What about A.J. Brown getting the ball in the middle of the field? He gets scared when a defender is coming 100 miles per hour at him. He dropped the ball, interception. You can't do that stuff. And you especially can't do that stuff that when the quarterback, for the first time in the game, puts the ball in the absolute bucket, and then you drop the jump. You can't do this stuff. This is not winning player stuff. People was like, oh, A.J. Brown was right the whole entire time. A.J. Brown was right about A.J. Brown's comments objectively hurt this Eagles offense. It did. I would much rather go back to Hurts being ultra conservative and leaning on that. Because if Hurts is ultra conservative and this defense is playing this way, I believe the Eagles, at the least, will get themselves to the NFC Championship. Now, they're going to lose either their playoff berth or they're going to lose in the first round if this Eagles offense is continually turning over the ball. But here's my thing, and then I'm going to get into something that I want to see Jalen Hurts improve on, and then we'll get to some of the wide receivers, and then we will get to the defense. Talk about Jalen Hurts and what I want him to improve with. You see, Jalen Hurts completed 5 of 20 passes for 99 yards and 4 interceptions when he held the ball longer than 2.5 seconds. That's insane. I think Hurts is one of those guys that when he got too much time on his hands, he gets himself into trouble. You know those kids or you know those people that when they have too much time on their hands, they start wilding out. Versus when they're on schedule, all right, after school, you got basketball practice. All right, after basketball practice, you got piano lesson. After that, then you got dinner. After that, then it's good night. But then when it's like you got a 4 or 5 hour period and it's all this free time, you start, knocking on doors, doing the ding dong ditch. You out here with your homies, getting into mischief, all that stuff. All this to say, Jalen Hurts is at his best when he's on schedule, when he's just bing, bing, boom. You saw that 3rd and 16. It wasn't much thought. All he knew was, I got to get this 3rd down. I got to trust my guy. Boom, right through the middle. That was a beautiful throw, the throw of the game. We got to see more of that. You see, when you're in the pocket, and the offensive line and pass protection has been very good this season. When you're thinking and patting the ball and you're just keeping the seconds go by and by and by, I've seen Hurts get himself into more trouble. So I want Jalen Hurts to be more decisive. If you see it and there's nobody open, run. Run. Think about the Cowboys game. Week 1. Jalen Hurts and these boys, the passing offense wasn't that good. I mean, they had that one bomb to Jahan Dotson, but outside of that, it was like, all right, you are seeing some wrinkles in this offense. We're looking at this, we're saying to ourselves, you need him to be more decisive. Because in that Cowboys game, he was decisive running the ball. All right, bet we're in the red zone. Folks not open. Let me take off. Versus when you're just standing in the pocket, and that's what I think is a common misconception with Jalen Hurts. They feel like he can't throw in the pocket. No, he can throw in the pocket. He just gets himself in trouble when he goes out here and is just holding on to the ball. What's this going to happen? Either a sack or you're thinking too much and then boom, interception, you're force feeding something. You like for him to be more decisive in those moments. So we talked about that benching of Jalen Hurts, not having it. We talked about how there are multiple quarterbacks this season that they've had lackluster games. Lamar Jackson, the past 5 games, Cuz got 2 passing touchdowns and he has 4 interceptions. We talked about A.J. Brown and his comments hurting the team. I do believe that in the offseason, the Eagles are going to trade A.J. Brown. I do believe that. Just because, unfortunately, it's not necessarily right, but it's what's going to happen. They're going to look at, hey, when we've won, you were a decoy. So why do we have to pay you this much money? All that stuff. And what these NFL teams will do, which is how I sympathize with AJ, is that they look at your stats and say, oh, well, you're not performing up to the level that we want you to do. Take a pay cut. And if you don't take a pay cut, we'll cut you. What happened with Russell Wilson? He had that big contract. He did not perform up to expectations. They actually told him, if you don't take a pay cut, we'll cut you. This is a ruthless business. So, again, going back to what I said about AJ being selfish and all that stuff, I get him being frustrated. You don't think Jahan Dotson frustrated? But Jahan Dotson ain't out here on social media. You're not doing that. Come on. So I think we basically covered the offense. Let's talk about the defense. Here is the reason why I am not ready to say this Eagles 2025 team is just like 2023. Because on defense, their defense, and especially that defensive line, they got some superstars. Jordan Davis already has a career high in sacks and tackles, and the season ain't even over. He's having a breakout year. Jaylin Hunt has 4.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. Talk about a breakout sophomore year. What about Moro Ojomo? 4 sacks on the year. He has been legit. Outside of those penalties, hey, look, my guy has been nice. 7th round pick, by the way. All of these guys are extremely young. 24, 25, 23. Zach Bone, 3.5 sacks, a forced fumble, an interception. Jalen Phillips, when he got traded, he wreaked havoc from the jump. He is great as a pass rusher, and he is solid in the run. And what about Nakobe Dean? Let's go to break down some film about how great Nakobe Dean has been this season. Nakobe Dean is one of, if not the best blitzing linebacker in the NFL. Look what he does to Josh Jacobs. It's like he's his stepson. Get out the way. I'm going to Jordan Love, strip sack fumble. Give me that. Now, this is the very next game, and he's doing this to power running backs, dog. Look at this. David Montgomery, get out the way. Sack. Easy. These are in consecutive games, dog. In his 3rd straight game, 3rd straight sack. Javonte Williams, get out the way. Come on, dog. And it was funny because folks try to act like Amari Hampton is just so bad at pass blocking. No, Nakobe is just different, bro. He did this to Josh Jacobs. He did this to David Montgomery. He did this to Javonte Williams. Some power running backs in this game. And that's what he did to him, dog. The violence at the line of scrimmage is a thing of beauty here. Byron Young gets the fumble recovery. Another strip sack for Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean has been a madman. And he needs all the credit in the world. He has been going crazy. Talk about in his past 5 games. He has 4 sacks, and he is the first Eagle since Hassan Reddick in 2022 to have multiple strip sack fumbles in the same season. Let's talk about this Eagles secondary. Cooper DeJean should be considered a top 3 nickelback, and I would argue the best nickelback in the league. He is first in passer rating allowed, 57. He is tied for the fewest touchdowns allowed. Guess that number, 0. He's one of the best open field tacklers in the NFL. He's also 3rd in forced incompletion percentage. He's 2nd in tackles for loss and no gain. He's 2nd in missed tackle percentage, 6.5%. He's rarely going to ever miss a tackle. And he's 4th in solo tackles. He does everything. And ultimately, they tried to cramp on him because he went outside and faced George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Those guys do that to everybody. They do that to everybody. So I'm not going to use that as the measuring stick. We know Cooper DeJean as a nickel back is the best in the league, top 3 at worst, and he had Ladd McConkey in jail. What about Quinyon Mitchell, right? Because Quinyon Mitchell is a top 4 cornerback in the league. He's first in catch rate allowed, 41%. He's first in tight windows forced, 41%. He's first in average target separation, 1.8. He's first in fewest passing touchdowns allowed. Just like Coop, what is it? 0. He is second in yak per reception, 2.5 yards per allowed. He's third in passer rating allowed, 61.5. He's fourth in forced incompletions, 13. And he's tied for fourth in passes defended. Mitchell has not allowed an opponent passing touchdown in 510 coverage snaps this season, despite covering 4 of the top 7 wide receivers in receiving touchdowns. So essentially, Quinyon Mitchell is facing the top guys week by week this season, and he has yet to give up a touchdown. He's so good that folks thinking that when Quinyon is in zone coverage and he makes a great play to recover, that was him giving up a touchdown. The guy ain't give up a touchdown all season long. So this Eagles defense is going to give you a chance. It is. That's what we know. So back to my original point. This is not like 2023 because the defense is going to give you a chance. And the issue with 2023 was the defense was bunts. The defense was terrible. But the thing was, even though Sean Desai and Matt Patricia, they aren't Vic Fangio, let's keep it a buck, they did not have the players that Vic Fangio has. Right? When you got Shaq Barrett, when you got Nicholas Morrow, you got James Bradbury, you got Sidney Brown in there. Like, obviously, they were at a deficiency in their talent defensively. Some would say this Eagles offense in 2025 is just like the Eagles defense in 2023. But the Eagles defense 2023 ain't have no real playmakers. Who they have for real? Versus this is the same offense outside of Mekhi Becton, who left, that won a championship less than a year ago. Let's be honest. AJ didn't regress. Devontae didn't regress. Saquon didn't regress. Hurts did not regress. Dallas Goedert was having a career year to start the year, and he has the most receiving touchdowns of his career, and the season ain't over yet. So we are looking at this. There is still light at the end of the tunnel because the unit that the Eagles need the most work on is offense, and they are not short on talent. It's about execution. It's about the coaching staff getting them in the right places to make plays and play to their strengths. So ultimately, we are looking at this. Yes, things have to improve. Yes, if Hurts plays this way, there is no chance in hell the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl. But I want to ask you this question. The Eagles playing this way beat the Packers. The Eagles playing this way beat the Lions. The only difference was the turnovers. The only difference in the Cowboys game was the Saquon fumble. It was the Xavier Gibson fumble. It was the poor play call when you obviously could have ran the ball on the third down. You decide you want to throw it and all this stuff. What about the Bears game? When you get thoroughly outcoached by Ben Johnson, who has Caleb Williams under what? Under center. And then you're talking about this game against the Chargers. Herbert on one hand. They got turnovers too, but just simply can't live up to the bill. So that's my pitch as to why I just believe there is some hope. There is some hope. And I'm not going to give up on this Eagles team. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Real talk. Y'all know I always keep it real. We are out.